Hi guys and welcome back to Nail on Sunday podcast with me Chris and my beautiful wife who's top knotting today. Big brows Rebecca.
Do you know why I'm top knotting today? I'm just trying to be cozy because the weather is absolutely disgusting outside. So I'm just like cozy mood.
It's so weird that
I've also lost some bubbles, so I'm having a bit of...
Brits just speak about the weather because we've got nothing else going on. We do have lots of other stuff going on. It's just the weather dominates what you do with your day.
Yeah.
I just tried to open the gate to come in here on a stormy Sunday morning and nearly lost the door of the van.
Yeah.
Which was excellent because it was sailing away.
It's really, really gross out there.
It is. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about salon hygiene. Now, I know that already sounds like a boring topic, but trust me, it's Chris and Becca, so we're going to make it as fun as possible. And we have actually some screenshots of some disgusting No, I'm kidding.
No, we do not.
Kidding. But before we get into all of that, honey, what have you been up to?
Wow, since the last time we recorded.
You can't let them know we just recorded yesterday. We're actually recording. Do you know what, guys? You can tell that we're recording on a Sunday because Chris is wearing a Sunday shirt.
Is that a Sunday shirt?
I wear it almost every Sunday because it's
Really?
just like a big floaty t-shirt, waffle. What's this? Waffle print. When I wear it to go to Aldi, guns there.
Guns? Where are the guns?
When I wear it to go to Aldi on a Sunday, the girl in there, she smiles at me.
Oh, really? She's there every Sunday at the same time as you?
We meet there.
Okay, well, the crazy thing is that you usually go on a Saturday.
She knows when I go.
Okay, cool. You just text her and say, let's meet.
She just knows that protein yogurts are compulsory.
Okay.
We meet in the produce aisle.
Excellent.
Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. I've been to Aldi this morning, got you some nice flowers and some sweet treats because it's a Sunday and a Sunday's our day off, kind of, from being...
Oh, yeah, because you've been really good the last 5 days.
Oh, I've been really busy with work and that's just not been... Anyway,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Honey, what have you been up to? Can you tell the audience at home what your new addiction is?
Oh, yes. It is Vimto flavoured clear whey protein
And what,
from My Protein. If you want to sponsor us, please get in touch.
I've never seen anyone walk about with the most... In fact, every girl right now is walking about with a wheelie bin size Stanley, and then Rebecca usually has one of them, but right now she is guzzling down her Vimto flavoured protein.
I'm just saying, right, if you are, like me, a girl who really struggles to get protein in, and when you sort of look at it and you think, oh my God, am I actually even having any protein in a day? Probably not. And did you know you're meant to have 1 gram of protein per pound that you weigh? It's really hard to hit protein goals,
It's
right?
like 190 for you.
Oh, anyway, not that I'm like on a mad like gym thing or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just that generally, I think I just don't get enough protein, and your brain needs that to work properly. So this, which is clear whey, so essentially it just tastes exactly like Vimto diluting juice, but it's got 20 grams of protein in it. Yes, it has 89 calories, but it also keeps you feeling quite like full because...
But if you think about, the like chocolate milkshake style,
Ugh,
they're
yeah.
okay for one shake.
You couldn't drink that all day. This you can drink all day.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
The Vimto one I'm not so keen on, the orange mango, a little bit better. That actually, the other dragon fruit one you got was good.
Yeah, there's one more we've not opened, strawberry and kiwi.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely loving it.
Bit sweet for me. Artificial sweeteners in it. But I think like you do have a sweet tooth, so...
This one tastes exactly like Vimto. I really like it. I am addicted to it. I keep thinking about it when I don't have it. So I said this morning, I was like, I keep thinking about it.
I came to wake her up and dogs, and that's what she told me.
Also, do you want to know something really weird what happened last night, right? So Chris came to wake me up this morning and he goes, oh, the heating went off in the night because the boiler lost pressure. The flipping weirdest thing is, that is what I dreamt last night. I dreamt that the boiler lost pressure and we had to repressurize it.
Nice. Maybe it's
Absolutely crazy.
maybe it's cyclical, 3 months or something. Anyway, what we're doing today, since it is a Sunday, we do have a day off.
A day off. We've got to go home and do account stuff. Again, the worst thing in the world. But there were several things we had to do when we get home. That was one of them. And I said that we are going to book some more of our trip that we are doing with Lucy Pastorelli in April because we are all so unorganized. So that we're going to book some things today.
Also, I would like to please remind me, see the fire stick that's on the TV downstairs that we use for staff slideshows and stuff. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to put Surfshark VPN on it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want 10% off, link in the description below. And
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
How?
It's just a referral code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to subscribe to YouTube TV in America. So I'm going to like put the VPN so we'll pretend we're in America. Subscribe to YouTube TV. Got a code for that right now where it's down to $62 per month. I know that sounds a lot. If you think Sky TV used to cost us like 50 quid a month, and I cancelled that at the end of the Formula One season, but Formula One's just about to come back. And it's just Rebecca and I have absolutely run out of TV.
Do
we don't
really need
watch
$62 a month though. I don't think we're gonna watch $62 a month worth of.
You want to watch White Lotus?
I do.
So it's either subscribe to Sky for £50 a month or $62
I'm sure there's a
for
package
YouTube.
you could have lower than that.
Not with Formula One. Just Formula One is really the problem.
Okay. Say what you mean, Chris.
Also, the girl I showed your cadence breaking on Instagram and TikTok. She's a girl from Canada who just loves Formula One. She does funky acrylic nails, all Formula One stuff. I don't know, just check her out.
We don't know if she's even qualified. So
Tell her Chris sent you.
great, perfect, because she knows who you are.
Yeah,
cool.
Ours Formula One ones together. I know I don't have a Formula One hat on today. Very, very cool. Dallas upside down original True Brand hat.
Post Malone style.
That's enough about us. That's a long intro for us. Let's get into today's show. So hygiene, honey. I am just going to say something. Correct me if I'm wrong. A beauty salon, just in general, beauty salon, hair salon, barbershop,
nail salon
can be one of the most disgusting places in the world.
They really can. Yeah, they can be.
A lot of it's to do with the people who are in there, both staff and, I mean, I'll be honest with you, as a guy owning a salon, I understand that the inner workings in the back end of it. Sometimes you get people coming in and they look their worst to be able to get all the treatments to look and feel their best. But some people, I mean, it's like hardcore.
I think we have COVID to thank again for a lot of things. I know I've said this a few times.
I was just going to run into that. I think COVID changed a lot of stuff.
I think COVID changed a lot because it made us actually stop and think. Whilst we have all been like trained, I would say in hygiene basics when it comes to salon environment, I think with COVID we really stopped and thought a lot more about things and about how transmissible things were. So yeah, what I will say about hygiene is, from a customer point of view, imagine you are walking into a space and all you can see is like crap on the floor, nail trimmings on the floor, bits of nail debris floating around and some barbicide. Oh my God. The nail file that the nail technician is using looks like it's been used on 15 other people.
Gel polish bottles have got polish dripping down the side of them.
Yeah, no, and that's not a hygiene thing, but it just paints a picture of a whole place, doesn't it? So yeah, we want it to look clean.
Yeah, I was just about to say, imagine it as like your house, but at the same time, I don't know if everyone keeps their house quite that clean.
Yeah,
it's tricky. Do you want to know? In fact, I'm thinking about it 2 ways, right? Because I desperately need to wax my nose because it's so itchy just now.
I've not waxed my nose in about 3 months.
The hair up my nose right now is causing me. It makes me angry because you itch your nose. Anyway, so the whole thing. And I normally wax my nose with hot wax. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, warm wax.
Hot wax.
Hot wax. And wax pots.
Not warm wax, imagine.
Okay, the other one. And wax pots can look the worst thing in the world. Again, maybe a lot of you guys just do nails. Not just do nails. A lot of you guys specialise in nails. So maybe haven't seen a wax pot. But wax pots can look...
They can. It doesn't mean that they're not hygienic. It's just that they are so hard to keep clean. But I think the first step in a client just thinking that your place is clean and hygienic is just the visuals, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And what we used to do when I used to sell beds is we used to do a thing called, on a Friday night before Saturday, which was your busiest day, or even a Saturday morning, is a thing called a walkthrough. Walkthroughs if you're a customer.
Yes.
And look at certain specific things. So for instance, if you have a doorway, do you have a doormat? Is a doormat clean? Is it vacuumed? Outside, is it mopped? It's just that visual appearance. If you're, say, walking upstairs, is the banister free from dust? All those tiny little things that we probably brush by because you're in a hurry and you're focused on getting, the client on the seat and do the treatment. You miss those things, but customers notice it.
So as a nail technician, you're going to sit in the client's seat. If you're a beauty therapist, you're going to lie up on the bed. Yeah. Do those things because you're going to see things from a different angle. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good piece of advice.
Always do. Okay, so how can we identify some risks?
So a good way to identify risks, I'm going to say some things that you guys are going to be like, oh, why do I have to do that? But once you've done it once, it's done. So you can identify risks by doing a risk assessment and infection control procedure. Those, it can be one or the other because they are very, very similar. Well, they are and they aren't, because a risk assessment is you're going to write down how you can mitigate those risks. I guess an infection control is kind of the same, just sort of written in a different form. So literally what I would recommend is go step by step through the whole entire treatment. And at each point that you think, oh, there's a risk there, we're going to note it down. Okay, so let's take the whole treatment step by step.
Okay. Just let's go for builder gel. Is that the best way to do it, or does it make a difference?
Doesn't make a difference. I don't think it makes a difference what treatment that you're doing.
So you're doing a set of nails. So you're
doing a set of nails.
For instance, removal.
So the customer comes in, they present you with their hands. Okay, risk number 1. We want them to have washed their hands beforehand, or at the very least, we're going to sanitize their hands.
Yeah. I think hopefully you hope that they've washed their hands. Hard to tell someone to go wash your hands.
So there's identifying risk number 1, or point number 1, at which there can be a sort of hygiene or infection control risk. Next thing is going to be looking at their hands and identifying any contraindications there, because you can identify risks. So if they had a fungal infection, etc., we don't want to be passing that on to other people. So there's a risk involved with that. Next up, where are we going to go to? We are going to be doing our prep. Risks there. We could break the skin. We are filing over the natural nail. So there's risks involved in that.
Would you do it case by case though? Because for instance, customers can have really healthy skin. Like for instance, me for a change actually right now, because Becca's not been practicing on me. But also like, does things like the winter have anything to do with it? Because people's hands will be more brittle. Would that be a risk, or would you just not include that because that's too general?
That's too...
Oh, sorry, too specific, not general enough.
Yeah, that's...
Okay. I just want to know how deep you're going to go, that's all.
You're just going to, at every single step of the treatment, you're just going to think, is there a risk involved? Is there a hygiene risk? Is there an infection risk? So after prep, where are we at? Application, that's another one. So again, we're thinking about the fact, is there anything on the client's nail that could transfer to the brush and then contaminate your bottle? Got to think about that type of thing as well. So there is an infection control risk, or a risk that should really be put in your risk assessment in that section as well. Now, the hope is that you go back through the risks that you've already identified, and that you would have identified any contraindications at that point, and you're not going to be applying any product to somebody who has a fungal infection. And if for whatever reason you were, maybe you were doing a specialist fungal treatment, you would have the appropriate tools that are single use. What else have we got?
Well, I mean, after the treatment, let's call it a gel polish. I say refine.
Yep.
So again, you've got your weapon of choice, like your nail file.
Your nail file,
which could potentially damage someone's skin, especially if you've done prep, maybe overfilled to begin with, etc.
Yep. So you've got your nail file, maybe you're using an e-file, and you're using e-file bits as well. You've got to think about
sanitization bits.
Exactly, correct.
Single-use nail files.
And at that point as well, that there's a risk that you could actually nick somebody and draw blood and create an open wound. So there is another risk to be identified that could be an infection control issue. And then you've done everything, everything's applied, and you're applying cuticle oil. Got to think about hygiene with that as well. So the recommendation when applying cuticle oil. Now, I mean, the thing is that technically, by this point, the person's hands should be extra clean, because they should have washed them before they've come and sat down at your desk with soap and water, and you've sanitized them before you've started your prep as well. So they should be incredibly clean. But still, best practice would dictate that you're going to use a dropper bottle rather than a cuticle oil pen with a brush head on it. Yeah. That is going to be much harder to clean. Not to say that you can't sanitize that. You could sanitize it, but it's generally going to be a lot easier with a dropper bottle.
I had someone in the shop the other day there, and they said they only use pens.
Yeah.
I understand, because pens cost less, but when I broke it down,
but they don't. Yeah.
Mill by mill for this person for a dropper bottle, because she has a favourite, And I said, this doesn't matter. You don't have to have a big range at your desk. You just have to have your favourite, because if it's your favourite, you'll be passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
When you apply it, you'll be rubbing it in, you'll be telling customers like all about it, all the benefits, the features and the benefits, especially in the winter time, etc. Then you can ask them to go choose their favourite at the desk. Or you can say, I've got a selection of testers at the desk. It's only really to smell. It's not for you.
Yeah. I understand why people want to use a pen because it's more precise application. But my recommendation, what I personally do, is I will take the dropper bottle. I'll put a drop on the back of my hand on my glove. I will then take a microfiber brush and I will apply it using the microfiber brush. Especially if I'm applying oil prior to a picture, you want it to be very, very precise and not get on the nail or anything like that. So I will very, very precisely do that. So that's single use and then that's going in the bin. So nice and clean. So in a salon environment, the hygiene risks we have got, let's just sort of tally them all up there. We have got dust, which is dead skin cells. And then we've also got dead skin cells. We've got the risk of people being cut, open wounds. We have got the risk of fungal infections and things like that being passed on. Something that we didn't cover there was people's general health. That is a risk. That's a hygiene risk. It's a hygiene risk to you, and it's a hygiene risk to subsequent clients as well. So that's also something to think about. So anywhere where the public is, there is going to be a hygiene risk. Yeah.
One thing I know we touched on e-file. I've seen it happen before, where you're filing somebody's like acrylic off or something, and like it's flying everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Should you be wearing glasses?
Yeah, PPE.
Ski mask.
We'll come into that, how to sort of mitigate the risks and things like that. But yeah, you definitely want to protect yourself. So one other thing actually is when we are dealing with nails, things can get underneath nails as well. So that is like another reason you really want to make sure that their hands are clean and that all of the tools that you're using are going to be properly sanitized, disinfected, and or single use. Because God only knows what can be on there. I've heard some horrible stories about what can be underneath people's nails.
Yeah, I mean
I'm just thinking about the smell that comes off of some people's nails.
Okay, let's move on. Jeez, right, I said we were going to keep this podcast fun, and that you've just dropped it on. Excellent. All right, so what are the risks and the consequences of bad hygiene?
So the consequences of bad hygiene, quite simply, are that you can cause somebody else to have an infection or become unwell. That is the consequences, and with the best will in the world, for the most part, not for the most part, we are not working from a sterile environment, which means that there is always going to be the risk of cross-contamination and cross-infection, even if you have the highest of hygiene standards. So, and if that happens, that could cause your business to have a bad name.
Yes.
If somebody gets, an infection, and it can be quite dangerous. If somebody gets a paronychia. Oh my God, my brain has gone completely blank. So
I thought you were having that protein to.
I know, right?
Your brain.
So that can often be seen at the side, often like on the sidewall, close to the cuticle, and it'll be a sort of pus-filled swelling. That can lead to sepsis.
I'm so sorry, guys. This is going to make me vom.
That can lead to sepsis. That can make somebody incredibly unwell. Even the smallest of infections from the smallest of sites, smallest of nicks, can make people very, very, very unwell. And I know, we talk about the crossover between the medical world and dental world, and people are like, oh, you're so ridiculous, you're so extra. But it's a fact. There is a risk. There have been people who have lost fingers and got sepsis from a visit to the nail salon. So obviously the consequences can be, they can be very serious. So it is important that we uphold the highest level of hygiene standards that we can.
Give me an example of some bad hygiene.
Bad hygiene.
Or bad practice.
I have a good example, which is something that people would have done. A lot of us would have been very guilty with, especially in days of old, would be just throwing our cuticle nippers into a pot of barbicide.
Yeah.
And then, not sanitizing them before you do that. And bits of debris are just floating around.
I noticed when we came back from COVID, every Tom, Dick and Harry had barbicide like stickers.
Oh, the certificates.
Certificates, whether it be salons, barber shops.
It's because they did a free course. So everyone was like, oh, it's just an extra course that I can do. So yeah.
I think, again, COVID's got a lot to answer for. And I think if it makes people just slightly more conscious of being slightly healthier, safer, I think it is definitely,
Yeah.
you know. So I know there's lots of different hygiene systems. We can't really go into it because there's other brands and stuff. But do you believe that the hygiene systems that have come out, especially in the last couple of years, are just, you know?
I mean,
Or do you think it's overkill and it's just a side product?
is there overkill? I mean, the thing is that, again, you know, different brands who sell the different hygiene systems, they will have, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, they will have a reasoning behind it, and they'll have reasons behind that they are, you know, saying that you need to do all of these different steps. I think with hygiene, there probably isn't such thing as overkill. It's again like what we're talking about is sort of something we talked about a couple of episodes ago. Like, how much risk are you willing to take? That's what it comes down to. Because if you want to be completely 100% safe, well, okay, there's no such thing as 100% safe, but as safe as you can in terms of getting rid of any microorganisms, any sort of bacteria, the only way to do that is to sterilize your tools, and the only way to do that is with an autoclave. So something let's talk about really quickly first before we go into anything else is there are three things. You have sanitization, you have disinfection, and you have sterilization. Those three things are completely different, and each has a different level of sort of security than the next, right?
Good way to think about it.
Yeah. So your lowest level of security when you are saying no to germs. Like,
I wish if you guys are listening, Rebecca's doing weird things with her arms.
If you are saying no to germs, so your lowest level of security is sanitization. That is just a low level clean.
Would you say that's more like a surface?
Yes.
As
yes.
even just a surface tool?
Yes. It will reduce the amount of bacteria, but it does not eliminate bacteria, and it won't eliminate bacteria to a high level either. Okay. So you've got your sanitizer. That is a sanitization. So when you go back to COVID again, do you remember they said sanitizer is great, but washing your hands for 20 seconds with hot running water is better?
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of put the two together, and you'll understand what we mean by that. So your next level up is disinfection. Okay, so disinfection is going to get rid of the vast majority of microorganisms, bacteria, etc. So you'll see a lot of products saying that they can get rid of up to 99%.
Yeah.
Okay, so
as soon as you said that, I thought of that.
Yeah. So that is disinfection when the product is used properly. So you're looking at things like barbicide can disinfect, but only when used properly. So used for the correct amount of time in the right what's the word? Ratios, like
so
water
I'm just going to say
barbicide.
something. I know that when barbicide was running low, you just top it up with water.
People would do that, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the right ratios for the right amount of time, and every product will be different. So make sure you read the instructions, and ensuring that debris has been removed prior. So I would say sanitize before you disinfect. By sanitizing, you're removing debris and you're reducing some of the bacterial load, and then you disinfect. Your disinfection has a much better chance of being successful.
Gotcha.
Then above that, you have sterilization. Sterilization and working in a sterile field, that is what surgeons do, and that is eliminating all microorganisms and all bacteria. It doesn't then mean that organisms and bacteria can't then be introduced, and things can be contaminated. But what it means is that tool, so if we take this pen, and imagine we put it through an autoclave. When you put it through an autoclave, you've got to do your proper preparation beforehand, which is, sanitizing and disinfecting the product, and then put it through your autoclave. You've taken it out. Before I've touched it, as it's come out, it is now completely sterile. There is no living bacteria on that. But if I have a unclean hand and I touch it, that's no longer sterile. Essentially, as soon as if you put it in a packet with everything you're meant to do, as soon as you've opened that packet, it is no longer sterile. So those are the three levels that we are looking at in terms of cleanliness. Now, obviously, sterilization is the ideal world and is what is required in different countries, in different parts of different countries. For instance, in different states in Australia, you are legally required to have like a steam pressured autoclave to clean your products. You'll see that if you're on, Nail Talk, and you ever see any Australian ones come up, you'll see them talking about that. Everything comes out the sterile packets, etc. So all of their tools have to go through an autoclave.
Wow.
And so that means that they will need to have, if they have 6 sets of clients in a day, they will need to have 6 sets of every single tool.
I was going to get into the autoclave thing, but that's got me right into it right now. How long does, say, for instance, a cuticle pusher go through an autoclave?
I can't attest to that, and it's going to be different for different autoclaves and different. And the thing is with an autoclave is it's kind of like anything else, I guess. Say a cuticle pusher, you can get a cheap £1 cuticle pusher off of AliExpress, but then you can get a £48 cuticle pusher from Lucy Pastorelli or Willow or Katie Barnes or whatever. And it's going to be much higher quality and much better. So the same as autoclaves, the variety of prices and what each machine actually can do is vast. If you want to be absolutely sure, you're going to be looking at a dental grade autoclave, which is going to be expensive. And I believe that they run for quite a long time, quite a while.
A couple hours?
I would say probably at least. Again, if I say for sure, I would be lying. So yeah, that's what you would want to do is you would want to do your nighttime routine. So after you've done all of your, if you were using an autoclave, after you've done all your clients, you're going to gather all your tools together. You're going to wash. They generally will wash them, with soapy water and scrub them down first, and then they'll put them in their autoclave, let that go overnight, and then.
Really, it's not a thing where if you can't, you might need to think about, can you just push one extra walk-in in at the end of the night because you don't have the tools?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
exactly.
That's
so
pressure.
In the UK, we don't have those type of regulations. Again, it's kind of like the Wild West. We are completely unregulated in everything we do. We can do whatever we want. For the
We're regulated
most
in the
part,
stupidest things in the UK. We're regulated in the most stupid things in the UK.
We really are. We really are.
Compared to for instance, America, that is really the Wild West for a lot of things. But then they have regulation over.
They do. They have licensing.
License.
But then I heard recently that I'm sure it was in the state of Florida. You can just buy a license. No, but genuinely, you just buy it. But then they don't have regulations in terms of the chemicals like we do in the UK and EU.
Yeah.
So
off topic. See the chicken I bought. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I bought some chicken mini fillets from the cash and carry when I was there yesterday. Such good value. You get 900 grams for £5. It says on it, not for resale in the EU. That made me panic a little bit. What's in it that the EU don't want?
And why are we eating it?
Wild West.
So yeah, it's going to be different based on your location, and then of course after that again comes back what we've talked to before, which is how much risk are you willing to accept versus what can you financially afford. Best will in the world, you might not have say $3,000 that you would need for a dental grade autoclave to sterilize all your tools. In the UK, the use of autoclaves with your manicure tools is very, very, very rare.
Yeah.
More often than not, it is only disinfection level that we are only ever getting to.
If that.
If that.
I remember you and I discussed an autoclave, I think before COVID, for the Salon.
Yes.
And that was specifically for your microblading tool.
Yes.
And then you worked out realistically for the amount of clients you were doing, for the cost of the autoclave, it worked out cheaper to have
just to continue to be single use. And they were metal handles; they weren't plastic or anything, so I wasn't concerned. But yeah, the price it was.
Yeah, I think you've really just got to do that. I personally wouldn't go for cheap tools and just toss them out. I wouldn't do that.
No.
So if you have to have an autoclave, if you have to have that,
and I would say if you are going to go down the autoclave route, don't get a £200 or £100 one off Amazon. Invest in something proper, because otherwise it's not really going to be doing the job that you think it's doing. Do you know what I mean? That would be what I would say.
I think if you have to have one, if I were you, I would look for a second-hand one from a dentist.
If you have to have one, I was looking yesterday. So for instance, in New South Wales in Australia, they are mandated to have them. They have regulations about what the specification has to be of that. So if you have to have one, as in if you live somewhere where you're mandated to have one, the likelihood is that there's going to be a specification requirement of the machine as well. So definitely check that out before you go ahead and waste any money.
If you are one of our Australian listeners, I think we have any. We probably do, because we have Australian customers, so maybe somebody's listening. Could you just send a message, give us an idea of even just a link to one, just so we can have a look at it?
Yeah. I really like what they do with the hygiene, and I think it's great. But I think, unfortunately, part of the problem here again is it comes down to price.
Yeah.
In Australia, for instance, kind of like America, the prices for a set of nails are humongously inflated compared to what they are here in the UK. So obviously we talked about prices a couple of episodes ago, but in Australia, I mean, you're probably not getting like change of $150 for a set of nails, whereas here, you're like almost half that. Even in with the rate, the conversion, you're about half of that. So it's like, okay, they can spend a lot more money on a lot more tools and time and stuff like that, sterilizing them, because they are compensated. And it's not saying that it's right what we have in the UK. It's absolutely not right. But it is just the fact of the matter. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's talk about the UK, because most of the listeners are in the UK, and disinfection is the kind of level that we're really trying to achieve.
Yeah.
There. So what would you be looking at doing for instance, a set of nail tools?
So for your tools, you don't have a huge amount of options. I guess you have, well, I guess maybe you do. So barbicide, there's one. But again, if we're using barbicide, make sure you're doing it appropriately. Make sure you're sanitizing things before they go in, so that there is absolutely no debris. As soon as there is debris in that barbicide, it has got to be disposed of. Next up, you have got something like what we use, which is a Lucy Pastorelli ultrasonic cleaner. Use code NAILORDER for 5% off. But in that, it's not just the ultrasonic cleaner that we have. We are using the hospital grade disinfectant that she sells as well. And that goes inside the machine, and I love using it for cleaning my jewelry. I do that at least once a week.
I do. Sparkle back.
But again, before you're putting your items in there, you're going to sanitize them first. We like to use our multi-purpose hand sanitizer.
If you're watching on YouTube, it's this little guy here.
We will use that first on our tools to sanitize them, remove any debris, and then we will put them into the cleaner. And we will do the exact same with our e-file bits as well. Next up, you have got wipe systems as well. So brands such as Navy, they have a hygiene system with different steps. So your first one will be sanitization, your second one will be not sterilization, disinfection, and then I think the third step is just drying the tools. So that is one that you have. My personal preference these days, whilst I did use a Navy system, but my personal preference these days is to use a system where your tools are submerged for a period of time, because I feel like for proper disinfection to occur, there needs to be a time exposure element. Definitely. Which you're probably not getting with the wipes. I don't know. There is obviously like science and stuff behind the sort of multi-step hygiene systems, and like I said, I did used to use it myself, and didn't have any issues. But I just personally these days feel more comfortable with something where there is like that time. Is it that time sort of exposure?
I think also like with the wipe system, again, everything can come down to human error. And if you're not wiping like right into the grooves and stuff like that, whereas like the ultrasonic cleaner, it's more put in and hands off.
Yeah, I mean, the same can be said for that as well, though. If you don't remove any debris in the first step. So I think whatever we're doing when we're doing a disinfection routine, we have to understand that there is multiple steps. So there's a step before that, which is sanitization. So my personal preference with the tool would be to get your tool, use a brush. So Lucy Pastorelli has these wire brushes that are really good for cleaning your e-file bits. That's really good for like dusting off any debris. Then sanitize and wipe them down, and then put them into your disinfection step. And then dry them afterwards, because you don't want to let things rust. That's really, really important. So other than tools, there are other things in the salon that need to be disinfected that I think are very frequently overlooked.
Please tell me.
2 things mainly. Number 1, dusting brushes.
Yes, as in the nail brush that we use to gotcha.
But let's talk about that first. So number 1, dusting brushes. They too need to be cleaned.
I think the thing is that used to clean have to be cleaned. It's kind of like Monica and Friends when she has the vacuum that cleans a little vacuum, that cleans a little vacuum.
Yeah. So they should be cleaned between uses as well. These are the type of things that you want to have multiples of. They're not expensive. It's not like your tools, where your nippers and stuff might be costing you around £50. These things are typically quite cheap. I'm particularly loving our knuckle dusters right now because they are cheap. I think a pack of 5 is £15. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. So you have a pack or 2 of them, and then you can just clean them at the end of the day, let them dry overnight, and then that's what my recommendation would be.
So the bristles on that are synthetic, right?
Yes.
So that means it's easier to clean. Whereas if it was natural hair,
I mean, they're synthetic that mimic natural hairs. So with them, they're probably arguably a little harder to clean than, for instance, our
dusting brushes.
our regular
the black
dusting
and pink.
brush, which is a medical scrub brush.
It's silicone.
Yeah, so they're the sort of plastic bristles, which are quite far apart spread. So it's very, very easy to clean that in comparison to something like the other dusting brush. But saying that, the other dusting brush is really good for getting into like the grooves and sidewalls and things like that. So that's something to think about. The next thing, controversial topic, nail files.
Yes.
Now, I have a newsflash for you guys, and unless I can be shown any scientific proof that can dispel what I'm going to say, and you guys know I am open to learning, and I'm always analysing, and I am happy to admit when I'm wrong because I'm always trying to analyse and learn. But nail files, zebra nail files, or any sort of, the silicone coated nail files as we traditionally know them, that have a sort of a foam core and are gritty on the surface, they are not disinfectable. They are not.
For such a long time, people say, "Don't worry, I just disinfect my nail file."
Yeah. The reason is they are porous, which means that they can absorb any bacteria and particles and stuff like that. They're not disinfectable. You can't. So you should be using 1 nail file per client. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh my God, I don't believe in that, blah, 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 blah." But it is a fact, unless somebody else can prove it wrong. Anybody can print disinfectable, sanitizable, whatever, onto a nail file. Anybody can put whatever they want onto anything, but it doesn't make it true. So best practice is going to be 1 per client. And that is going to be the same with your buffers. Now, the bonus with buffers is that you can cut them up or you can get mini ones. We have our packs of 50 mini buffers at 180 on one side, 240 on the other side. And a pack of 50 is...
It's like
£7?
Yeah, it's not expensive.
£7?
I'll look it out for you while you're talking.
It's really cheap. So excellent. I know it's not feel as great as using a big proper boomerang shaped foam buffer, but it is by far your cheapest option. Another option you have, what we used to do in the salon, if you get the sort of rectangular cube type ones, we used to cut them into was it 2 or 3? 2?
I think it was 3.
Yeah, we used to cut them into bits and use them that way. And I know it all feels so wasteful, but you do have an obligation to protect your client as much as possible and to work from as hygienic a setting as possible. I'm sure it's £7 for the 50.
10 plus VAT.
10? Okay, 10. There you go. What's £7? Is that a pack of nail files?
It was a pack of nail files, I think.
Who even knows?
Yeah.
But there you go. So £10 for a pack of 50.
For a pack of 50 mini buffers. And for nail files, I mean, realistically, want to go for the packs of 50 if you can.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And get the most popular grit that we sell just now is the 180-240, because the 180 is great for, okay, it's not ideal, but for prep it's great.
Yeah.
If you're doing removal, really you'd want the kind of 120.
150, yeah. And then the 240 is great for the
refining at the end.
Yeah, exactly, and finding the natural
we
nail.
sell more of them than we do of any, and the 50 packs.
Yeah.
They're 32 for 50.
So that is really good value for money for the quality of nail files. I actually saw somebody talking about the quality of our nail files recently and that they've tried a lot. Yes, high quality Japanese sandpaper. They are the best. They produce the least heat, less damage to the nail due to the coating that's on them. So that's my recommendation. With nail files, you have one other option. So you have multiple brands do them, us included, which is the peel off steel board system as well. Now, they aren't going to be for everybody. Some people absolutely love them and won't go back to normal nail files. Some people don't like them because of the weight difference and the thickness difference. But that is another option that you have as well. So it's obviously a lot cheaper than using 1 full nail file per client because you just peel off that one side of the nail file.
I just
and
want
did
to
it.
apologise to everyone who's ever bought them from nail order, because it's me who orders the nail files, and I cannot keep up with the demand properly. I've got better over the last, I think we've only just been out of stock of steel boards for a couple of weeks. But yeah,
They're out of stock all the time.
they're becoming more and more popular. I think more and more people are going for them rather than just regular ones.
Yeah, so they're never in stock because they sell out immediately, but people absolutely love them.
I've got better. We've actually just had a delivery, and that delivery will see the next one. I'm actually get better.
We have buffers on them as well. So
Yeah,
really, that's excellent and much cheaper. But again, we know it's not going to be for everybody. So there is multiple options.
always. So, let's just say you wanted to try and disinfect a nail file. What's the traditional way of
I mean, what I see people doing is they just spray it on each side and that's them done.
and that's just not going to work?
As we've talked about, it's called sanitation, but it's not doing very much at all. Because as we said, it's a porous and a gritty surface, which is uneven in texture. So you're going to have dead skin cells attached to the underlayers, and then the gritty layers stick above that. So it's not very nice when you think about it, is it?
No, it's not. And I'm glad you said that. I just wanted to get that out there because some people will just do that. They'll just scoosh it with sanitizer.
Yes, but it is not particularly sanitary, guys. And sorry to burst anyone's bubble on that.
Okay, what else should you be focusing on cleaning? Because we discussed what do we do? So tools, files, something else.
Well, you've got your desk as well. Should we run through a whole thing of what you should be doing, and when you're doing a certain else?
Sure, let's go for it.
Okay, so like we talked about earlier, the customer comes in, you want them to have their hands cleaned. So go and ideally clean their hands in the bathroom, soap and water. They sit down in front of you, you give them a spritz with sanitizer on both the underside and on top. You're going to put your gloves on. You're going to put your gloves on to protect yourself, like we talked about previously, from allergies, but also in case they have any contraindications, which you are now going to check for. Do they have any fungal infections, any open wounds, anything like that that could cause an infection and contamination issue at any point of the treatment? No, they don't. Okay, we're going to carry on. We're going to use our tools. We're going to do our prep. We're going to use our nail file, which is going to be brand new. We're going to use our buffer, which is going to be brand new. We don't have any concerns about touching the natural nail and putting it back in the bottle because they don't have any fungal infections on the go or anything like that. The hand has been sanitized before use. The nail area has been prepped before use. Something I would really recommend is wearing a mask as well to protect you not only from the dust, but hygienically from any client's germs that they might have.
Okay.
So
I'll be honest with you. See, you're listing all these things. I'm terrible at remembering any of these things.
but it's just a routine. It's a routine.
But do you remember I was talking about cue sheets so you don't forget anything?
Yeah, but that's what we talked about at the beginning, is having a risk assessment and infection control procedure, because that's going to make you think. You're writing it down before you're getting started with your business, and you're thinking of each point as you go along, and then you implement something to combat the risk or mitigate the risk at that step. So we've completed our treatment. We have applied cuticle oil from a dropper bottle with a single-use microfiber brush. Of course, everything that we are using in terms of lint-free wipes, etc., they're all going to be single-use as well. And we come to the end of the treatment and the client has left. What are we going to do? First step we want to do is we want to remove any debris from our tools. We want to sanitize our tools and either remove our tools to begin the disinfection procedure, or at least just have them out the way so that we can then deal with our desk. So our desk is obviously somewhere where you are going to have debris, be it dust or cuticle bits or nail clippings, all sorts of things. So that also has to be sanitized and ideally disinfected. So my personal recommendation for your desk is to have down something such as a mani mat. If you don't have mani mats, a piece of couch roll. And what you're then going to do is, after that client's gone, is you're just going to bundle that all up, and then that has removed now the vast majority of debris because it's all just contained in there. And actually your desk underneath is, in the ideal world, your desk underneath is actually clean. And then all that you need to do is spray it down with, something like the multi-purpose spray because it's actually not been contaminated with anything.
Let's talk about this real quick. The reason I'm saying that is because we've had 3 different style desks. The desk that we've got just now is this fake wood that has porous little scratches in it. Is that good for nail techs?
I mean, it's not going to last you very long, is what I would say. And as long as you are covering your desk with, you know, like I said, mani mats, desk protectors, etc., probably not really going to be an issue, but it is going to mark up really quickly. I don't think it particularly poses a sort of infection or hygiene risk.
I've not. We also had, stupidly, Carrera marble. Real Carrera marble desks. They were bloody expensive.
They were so heavy.
So heavy.
So
heavy. They were ripping off the wall.
We were terrified that they were going to break off and snap someone's kneecaps right off.
That's not a hygiene thing. That's a
safety.
Health and safety.
Health and safety,
sorry. Oh. I wouldn't recommend them just for the couple of things that we said. They're expensive and everything else, but they're very porous. That's something to think about at the time. And we also had, back in another salon, an older salon, we had IKEA desks that had the glass over the top. Glass over the top.
Glass got scratched all the time. But then now we are on to faux style marble laminate, which is good. I would say it's pretty good. I mean, glass is great. Glass does protect, and there's glass is easily replaceable where the desk isn't so much. But whatever you're doing, you want to have a protective layer down first that you can just scoop all up. And then ideally, as I said, there's been no contamination in the desk underneath, but we're still going to give that a spray down.
So that takes time. Is that?
It doesn't take time. It takes seconds. And it doesn't matter how long that takes. That should be factored into your turnaround or your treatment time, because you need to be cleaning everything down appropriately before each client.
That's what I was going to say, because you might be rushing if you've run over and stuff like that, but it's still really important to do.
Yeah.
Take the time to do it. Also, the next client who's waiting want to see a fresh desk.
They want to see you doing your routine. People love that stuff.
Love it. They want to come and sit down and know that you're getting a brand new file, a brand new buffer.
Yeah.
Everything is clean and ready to go.
Something else we've not talked about is if you use a dust extractor, that's also going to need to be dealt with between each client, because you don't want to just like whack out your big dusty dust extractor that's got chunks of someone else's nails on it. That's going to need to be dealt with between each client as well.
I think we touched on this at the start. Take yourself away out of the situation. If you're used to seeing debris, because at the end of the day, you're removing customers' nails and stuff like that. You're used to seeing bits of nails lying around and stuff. I understand that. It's kind of like a chef. They're used to seeing, trimmings of stuff all over the place.
But with the people who's eating the food want to be seeing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the way you.
Top tip of the dust extractor to keep that clean is, or an expedited cleaning situation is the same as your desk. I like to it will reduce your suction very slightly, but it will make things so much cleaner, and it'll save you from having to buy loads of replacement filters. So take your mani mat or your couch roll and put it over your dust extractor. And then you just scoop it all up, and it's, boop. As I said, it will reduce your suction slightly, but I still find it works very well.
So if you get a good quality dust extractor, then code nail order
on lpnails.com.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've really. We said how this pod is not going to last long at all. We're at 50 minutes. I can't believe it.
So that leads us perfectly into today's sponsor, which is the Nail Story Co. So the Nail Story Co. They offer a few different products. They have the fantastic nail art planning pads, which we sell on our website.
Okay, great.
But they also have a fantastic planner. And what's so good about the planner is it's undated, which means that you can start at any time in the year. Like, you don't need to start in January. But they also have what we talked about on our prescriptive manicure episode, was their consultation cards. And what is so great about the consultation cards is that, particularly when you're looking for contraindications, which we've talked about a few times on this episode, is it's going to help you identify or help you remember to identify those things and mark them down as well. So again, thank you so much for sponsoring today's episode, The Nail Story Co. If you go to the-nail-story-co.square.site and use code Sunday10, all in capitals, you will be able to get 10% off your next order.
And if you can't remember to do that, just trust me, I'll have links in the show notes. All right, so is there an end of the night routine? Like, for instance, in the warehouse, we have a Friday routine. We get everything scrubbed down on a Friday, floors vacuumed, packing stations packed, ready for the next day. Is there something you should be doing at night time?
I mean, in terms of nighttime, you're going to be sweeping the floor because there's going to be dust and debris no matter what you do. Sweeping the floor. If you have upholstered seats, I would like, what we did in the salon is we would brush them down, like just use a dustpan and a brush. And what we also did was we sanitized them with, the Dettol spray. Do you remember the cans that we had? And everybody had one at their own desk. Yeah. And we would spray that onto the seats. It also helped everything smell nice, because I think if something smells good and clean, people just, in your head, it's clean.
There's nothing better than the smell of like a disinfectant. You were talking about it. I just kept referring to Dettol. I know shouting out brand names here, but that very specific smell, like when, for instance, I remember you used to work a Sunday, quite often either by yourself or you'd be the last one in, and I would come in after my shift in the boutique, and the place would always smell immaculate because you would mop all the floors, knowing that when the salon starts again on a Monday, people are coming into that clean, fresh smell. There's nothing worse than coming in and the smell of nail polish back in the days, or the acrylic back in the days. That's a very strong chemical smell, whereas disinfectant is really nice, safe smell. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something else that you can have as well is like a salon scenting system.
Oh, God. It's not just a salon. It's a salon, office, a home scenting system.
We actually used to we didn't have a salon scenting system like what we have now, but in the salon we had a wax warmer. Scentsy wax warmer to make it smell nice. Thing is, if you're using things like our sanitizers, it's going to smell good anyway, because the smell really, really hangs around. So that does help. Something that Chris talked about earlier in the episode, which was, cleaning your gel bottles. If they're all sticky and gross looking, you could be the cleanest person in every other way and like immaculate. But if those bottles are really hideous, covered in gel and sticky looking, it just creates an image of uncleanliness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So that as well, that's something you're going to have to do probably. If you do it once a week, it's not going to get to a really, really bad stage.
Yeah. Something we used to always task the staff with in the salon. So, for instance, if you own a salon, it's maybe a job that you would have in your diary.
For a bit of downtime.
Anyone's got downtime, clean the gel.
If you're on your own, do it as you go along. Like, if you do it on your own, it's so much easier to be in control of these things because it's just you who's doing it. So,
and it's only you to blame.
It is. So if you're putting a bottle away and you're like, oh, that's gross, while the client is in curing for their last 60 seconds on their whatever it is, give that bottle a wipe. Yeah. It takes you seconds, but it makes all the difference, especially when they're displayed on your wall. Obviously, if they're in your drawer, not so much of an issue, but still, every time you bring that out and the client looks at it and they're like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. It's just an impression, isn't it? Impression is as important as the underlying truth.
It's the appearance of things, isn't it? Yeah. And I think another appearance of things is the way you look. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So you want to be wearing clean clothes every day, because if you're coming in and your clothes are all like white with dust, essentially you have other people's skin cells all over a lot of it's product, but you also have other people's skin cells just stuck to your body, just breeding bacteria as you walk around. So you want to be wearing clean clothes every day. And I would also recommend an apron as well, whether that is, one of our aprons, whether it's a plastic apron, whatever it is, to protect your clothes and just make things just that little bit cleaner as well.
We had many uniforms throughout the years. In fact, can I just tell you something? Yesterday was 13 years since we opened the salon.
I saw that.
Did you? Right, okay. And
so there you go.
I happened to notice that staff member, the original staff member that we had, in a brown tunic, because our colour scheme was brown and pink back then.
Oh, weird colour combination.
It kind of worked. It was kind of gross, but also kind of worked. We thought it was luxury. But yeah, so the staff uniform was black leggings or black trousers and a brown tunic.
We were very traditional. But I mean, what year was that? 2012?
Oh, 13 years ago, so yeah.
2012. But that wasn't the first salon we opened. We had a salon before that. But yeah, that was a main salon. So very traditional vibes with the tunic. And then...
But then we said,
we had a few iterations of tunic.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think a tunic is overkill. It looks very professional, but I'd say it's more for a spa.
I just don't think I don't think it has any place in the modern industry.
Well, I'll tell you what I don't like about it. If you are carrying an extra couple of pounds, we've all been there. I think a tunic looks terrible.
It's not the most flattering, yeah.
And I do think it makes that member staff maybe feel a little bit more uncomfortable because there's no give in it.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say there's no stretch in it. These days you have some great options with things such as scrubs from places like Figs.
Yep.
Which, I love my fig scrubs.
Rebecca would leave the house in the morning and she would go to semi-permanent brows and I'd be like, darling, what are you operating on today?
They have lots of, but they have ones that are kind of more that sort of tunicky style, looks really professional. They have lots of stretch in them. They wash up fantastically. But going back to the point, which is that you having a clean appearance and your personal hygiene being good is very, very important. There is nothing worse than somebody who, smells of BO, things like that. Personal hygiene is equally as important as the hygiene of your tools and stuff like that. Because again, it's all about creating an impression. If you walk into a space and that person, their hair looks really, really greasy, their clothes are dirty, and there's a smell of BO in the air, you are thinking, I'm not in safe hands hygienically.
Yeah, 100%.
Automatically, you've created a really bad impression.
And that, I think, will be few and far between, especially for our listeners.
Yeah, no, I would imagine it's very rare. But I mean, we've had stuff like that before, and it's very uncomfortable and very difficult.
It's one of the hardest conversations you've got to have with someone is smell.
Yeah, it's really very, very difficult.
Yeah. So if you're all listening, nail all the stuff. I'm kidding. You guys
everybody smells great right now. So yeah, that was just something that came to mind about personal hygiene. That's equally as important.
Again, it's just appearances,
Yeah.
It's like
But it's something that's so easily and often overlooked is talking about your personal hygiene as well when it comes to work, because that's really the very first step. The first step before, sanitizing a client's hands and using a single-use nail file is getting out of bed, having a shower and putting on some clean clothes.
brush your teeth, brush your hair. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to wash your hair. I very rarely wash my hair, guys. Dry shampoo is amazing.
I'll tell you something. I know everybody's routine in the warehouse and the office, and I will comment. When Laura comes in and she's washed her hair, she floats in and she looks at me as if, please comment. Wash your hair? Yeah, I have. Gemma does it as well. Gemma's got really long hair. She was in the warehouse the other day and I was like, oh, Gemma, day off yesterday? She's like, yeah. But it's not to say that they look greasy hair like before that. I don't mean that. It's
just different, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, personal hygiene also very, very important. I think to summarize, identifying your risks is going to help you know what steps you need to implement to mitigate those risks. As I said, risk assessment, very boring. Infection control procedure, very, very boring. But bonus points if you ever had an environmental health inspection. We had environmental health inspection in our salon at COVID times. It was at the same time as I was getting a license renewal, so environmental health came around anyway. And she was just there and decided I've never met anyone like it. She was very particular, let's say. And yeah, she had suggested that we do like infection control procedures and for every single treatment that we do.
Yep.
Wrote them down. It's essentially writing it down, what you're doing step by step, and at each point, if there is a risk, noting it down and saying what you're doing to mitigate those risks. It doesn't need to be something complicated.
As we like to give away stuff for free and help customers out as much as possible, Rebecca's like, well, what the heck is he giving away for free? Would you be able to provide me with links to put in the show notes for like a risk assessment that you would probably do, like a good one? You don't have to make it up yourself. You can just find somebody else. And an infection control.
I hate doing that.
No, I know you hate doing them, darling. But instead of people going and searching and trying to find one, you'll do the searching for them.
Like a template?
Yeah.
A template.
That you could print off.
I could do a template for the risk assessment. Infection control is different because that is literally just a paragraph or a page that you need to write out about the treatment that you are doing and the steps that you are implementing. So it's very individual.
Try and find something.
Oh yeah, I've got all the time in the world, guys. Don't worry.
ChatGPT.
Why do you start these things?
Because I just want to help them.
Yeah, but what about me? I have so many things to do. And if they want new products, you need to stop giving me extra silly jobs.
That's very true. And do you know something? Do you know what this podcast is?
What?
Free. It's absolutely free.
It is. And do you know what we would really appreciate if you guys did? Is if you shared on your stories on Instagram, tagging our Instagram page, which again apparently exists. What is it?
Nail on Sunday.
Nail on Sunday Instagram. Tag it on your stories, sharing it, telling people that you're enjoying it.
If you enjoy it.
Just to get the word out there, guys, we would really, really appreciate it.
We just do this for free. And literally, we're in our days off to do this.
Yes.
And we edit it.
Saturday
on
and
our
Sunday.
days off.
Great.
It is. But if I'm honest with you, it's just an excuse to get away from the puppies.
It is. We're trying to get a few weeks ahead right now because we have a lot of things coming up. So we're going to get a few weeks ahead, aren't we?
Sure are. And again, you guys are more interactive these days and you definitely hit us up on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. Let us know if there's a subject that we can cover that will last 60 minutes. Because mean, 60 minutes is a long time to fill.
It is.
Me just looking at you, fill it. But with the power editing, this will take us to about 60 minutes. So, for that very reason, anything you want to just recap before we go? Stay clean, stay healthy, wash your hands.
Wash your hands and only use your nail file once.
Automatic sanitizers, do you think they're still?
I still had it in the. We still have it in the academy with the
Purell system?
my brows. So yeah, we had a automatic dispenser. I think that's really, really important as well. Having those sort of we called it a sanitization station. I think that's really important and encourages people to sanitize their hands as they come in.
It's funny, I miss them in a lot of places. For instance, we used to go to Nando's all the time. They would have one right outside. You come up, you would sanitize your hands as you're waiting in line.
Why did everybody get rid of them?
Because it costs money. It's
But
silly.
you've already bought it. Okay,
know.
yes, you have to pay to put the stuff in, but
But for me, like, I've probably just left it before I go eat some food. I'd normally wash my hands anyway, whatever. Sorry, guys. But that just took the element out of it, that pure alcohol type thing.
Yeah. Sad times. Bring it back.
Yeah, bring back COVID. No, don't.
No.
So, on that bright note, what are we doing for the rest of the day, honey?
We've got to go and do that account stuff.
Oh, God, this
I know.
is so...
I know. And do you know what the problem is? Chris is the problem. So he has nothing to do with the bookkeeper, nothing to do with the accountant, nothing. And he's the one that has caused all of the problems.
Because he controls the money.
You know, he doesn't control anything. He's just an idiot. That was mean. I didn't mean it.
Chris is the one with 832 cards.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting better. I'm reducing it right down with use.
Because you don't want to have to do this.
I hate listening to the accountant and the bookkeeper and everyone else shout at me.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Marks and Spencer's for a cauliflower as well.
God, just so rock and roll.
Aren't we crazy?
God, the things I used to do on a Sunday, now I'm going for a
But the good news
cauliflower.
is that we have some great launches coming up, actually. So, but although by the time they listen to this, we'll probably launch some stuff anyway. We've got a lot of launches coming up. March is going to be popping.
Popping. God, you are rock and roll. Okay, peep popping a handstand. Let's get out of here.
As always, guys, if you enjoyed that, please give us a thumbs up. Comment down below what you would like us to talk about next. And please subscribe if you haven't already.
Soon to leave alone Sunday, all the tea getting spilled. Nail techs talking game, keeping it real, y'all gon' feel. From designs to the drama, every secret they reveal. Stay sharp, stay tuned, man, you know it's the deal.